Hello everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw! It is time to talk about the newest Pokemon who just came to Pokemon Unite, Mimikyu, our newest all-rounder, and one of my favorite videos that I do for a new Pokemon release is should you buy that Pokemon? That Pokemon being Mimikyu. Mimikyu just got released in Pokemon Unite, and I was playing it all night on stream, and I have to say, it's one of the most fun releases I have played in a while. I thought Blaziken was really fun, but it did feel like inside that meta, it was just such a rough time to play Blaziken. Obviously, Blaziken is crushing it right now. Wow. Just when I think about it, a lot has happened in Pokemon Unite over the course of like one day. So we had a massive balance patch that's really changed the game in a bunch of exciting ways. And now we have this new Pokemon, and I made a video a little while back. I don't know if you were able to check it out, but it was called Will Mimikyu Save Pokemon Unite? And the idea behind it was Mimikyu is coming, a patch is coming, and these two things together could be amazing for Pokemon Unite. And I think fortunately, they absolutely have been. We have a great patch that has nerfed some of the most oppressive Pokemon inside the game. We've also buffed a few fun Pokemon, like some really fun choices got buffed. And now we have a new Pokemon who is released and I feel like is really strong. It's not crazy OP broken, you get 200,000 damage every game, but I've legit had games where I had massive KO streaks. I think I had a game with like 22 KOs or something like that with Mimikyu. So you get some really incredible matches with it, some really high skill expression, and at the same time, it's not game breaking and it's not something where it's, you know, it feels like everyone who buys it just gets free wins for a week or something like that. So as a release, I'm just so excited for Mimikyu. Let's talk about whether or not this Pokemon is a good fit for you. The game has Mimikyu listed as intermediate difficulty, and I actually think it's maybe one of the trickier Pokemon to do well with. It does feel like Mimikyu is a mix of sort of all-rounder and speedster. It feels like they were going for a little bit of the burst damage that you get with a speedster, but you still do get to brawl the way you can with an all-rounder. It's just more frail, I think, than you would expect. So if you think about something like Tyranitar, for instance, you feel bulkier, you feel like you're inside of a fight, you're generating your own shields and things like that. And it feels like Mimikyu, while it does have lifesteal on some of its abilities, it does feel like you are a lot squishier. It feels like sort of a middle ground between those two roles. And personally, for me, I absolutely love that middle ground. I'm a big fan of speedsters inside the game in general. Ever since really Dodrio, well, Talonflame before that, I've just kind of really enjoyed that play style. You know, a lot of burst damage, able to do well around objectives, and Mimikyu is no different. So if something like that sounds exciting to you, then I think Mimikyu is a great choice for you to pick up. Now, of course, if you're excited about just this Pokemon in general, I can tell you, I think from my perspective, it's a really fun design. A lot of people in the chat were saying they felt like it really lived up to what they thought Mimikyu would be. And then I had some other people saying it didn't really fit. They thought it would be sort of more of a trickster type Pokemon, almost like a Sableye. So it was kind of interesting to see those two different perspectives as I was playing this Pokemon. Given how I kind of feel like its role presents itself inside the game almost as more of a speedster all-rounder, I think you would want to fit this into your roster if you really didn't have any Pokemon like that yet that you were excited about. So let's say, you know, you don't have any speedsters really. Maybe you picked up Gengar or something like that, or, you know, Absol, and you just really aren't over the moon about it. This Pokemon, I feel like, is a, you know, nice little merging between something like a Gengar and then something more brawly, you know, like a Machamp or something like that. So if that sounds exciting, then I think Mimikyu is a great choice for you. Also, if you want a Pokemon that you can do some pretty wild stuff with skill wise, I think this is a really good Pokemon for you. You can really show off with some of the things you can do, specifically with Shadow Sneak. Shadow Sneak giving you the ability not only to chain crazy amounts of KOs, but also to sort of like bounce around the map in some pretty exciting ways is really cool. I end most of my games at level 15 just because you are able to so easily go from piece of wild Pokemon farm to piece of wild Pokemon farm over and over and over again, and then quickly get rid of it with something like Shadow Claw. While we're on it, let's talk about the build for this Pokemon. I don't think there's any question. Shadow is the way to go. You want Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak. I think Play Rough is actually surprisingly powerful, but not as useful. And then Trick Room is cool. I could see some situations where you could get some value out of it, but in general, Shadow Sneak is nuts, and Shadow Claw is just incredibly strong, really easy to use, gives you the ability to kind of reset it just with your auto attacks, and then Shadow Sneak on top of that lets you reset that move's cooldown completely on a KO of an enemy Pokemon or a wild Pokemon. And this is how you kind of bounce around the map in really exciting ways. You farm so incredibly well. You're playing Stardew Valley, but it's real quick. You're farming very, very fast. So if that sounds exciting, then I think Mimikyu is for you. This is the first time in a while where I'm walking away from this Pokemon, and I think I would say yes. This is a big win for me. I like this a lot. I'm really excited to play this. Now, that being said, if you just picked up Blaziken or something like that, you're going to kind of be choosing between your favorite of something that is a little similar right now. So there's definitely that warning on top there. I wouldn't grab this if you just grabbed another all-rounder and you're just getting into it. However, this is such a fun release. Oh, also the Unite move. Really fun. And one of my favorite things about the Unite move is I don't think it's too powerful. It could be way too broken. And I actually think they balance the power of this Unite move very, very well. And in fact, this feels like a strong but balanced release. And I'm so happy that Blaziken was strong and balanced, and they did tweak it up a little bit. I think it's probably a little OP right now. And then we have Mimikyu, strong, balanced. And when I say strong, balanced, I assume that most releases inside the game are going to release somewhere around like A tier or something like that. When you have a new release inside of a game, if they have an option to toggle it between, you know, slightly overpowered or slightly underpowered, you'd always want it to be slightly overpowered so people were excited about it and wanted to pick it up. You don't want to have a Scissor release on your hands where everyone's like, oh my gosh, what did they do to Scissor? So there you go. For the first time in a long time, I would say, yeah, Mimikyu's a really cool choice, and I think if any of that sounded good, I would recommend picking this Pokemon up. I feel like I often don't recommend picking up a Pokemon, especially, by the way, if you have coins, I always recommend wait for coins, or if you're just over the moon about Meowscarada and you have to save for that, don't, you know, get the FOMO right here and grab Mimikyu, of course. Like, keep all of that in mind. Keep your coins in mind. But if this sounds cool, I gotta say, I really, really like Mimikyu. It's so much fun. I'm so happy with it, and I would recommend it. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I love you guys. I'll see you all very, very soon. We did it.